Welcome back to the Hurry Up Offense. Fantasy football news and advice in 5 minutes or less. I'm Smokey Rameriz, your fantasy football pro. Let's go. Today's topic is time to assess the assets. But first, let's get into the news. John Brown is still sidelined at Buffalo's practice. So look for this new kid, this rookie they have, Gabriel Davis, who hauled in 7 targets last week for 103 yards. If you need a good second option, there you go. Kareem Hunt is considered day-to-day right now with a groin injury. So if he does sit out and you happen to have Nick Chubb on your team, Jesus, you are going to reap the benefits of that. I'm sure you all have heard by now that the Steelers and Titans game is postponed. As of the time of this recording, we don't know exactly which day it will be, so hopefully it is within this week so that the players you are playing from that game will still be in your lineup for this week. Henry Ruggs is expected to sit out Sunday, but the problem is also Bryan Edwards is expected to sit out on Sunday. So if you happen to have Hunter Renfrow sitting on your bench, this may be the day you want to throw him in. Le'Veon Bell is hoping to return for week 5, which, considering the coach they have, I don't think it matters. And finally, Chris Godwin is going to be out this week, so just like the last week that Godwin was out, you have to play Mike Evans in this situation, and he should produce big time. Now, let's get into the game theory portion of the show. It is time to assess the assets. Guys, listen, I'm not so much a numbers analyst. I'm a cycles and trends guy. I study the cycles and trends of players from year to year to hopefully predict when production is coming. And not to pat myself on the back, but I do have a decent track record of doing this. With that being said, going into week 4 and coming out of week 4, we now have sufficient data to assess the assets. It's time to cut bait on the seasonal anomalies who are performing at an unacceptable level, and also time to load up on the seasonal anomalies who are performing at a level that exceeds expectations. This happens every season. Some unexpected standouts so far this season are guys like James Robinson and Myles Gaskins. Low draft capital and completely overperforming. These are people who will not be expected to be valuable year after year, but you should definitely use them in your redraft leagues as depth to get you to that championship, because league winners are people who can spot these trends just as this and use them to their benefit. Some underperformers this season are guys like Le'Veon Bell, who I will get to in a minute, and as I mentioned last week, Carson Wentz. Guys, bad O-line equals bad QB play, especially when your O-line is this freaking bad. At this point, you most likely could get better results by streaming a QB weekly than sticking with Carson Wentz, unless you are in a QB premium league where you need more than one QB. There's not going to be a lot of waiver wire options, or if you're in a really deep league like a 16-team league, you may just be stuck with Carson Wentz for right now. But if you do happen to notice a better option come along on the waiver wire, jump right on it, because I don't see this situation getting any better for Carson Wentz this season. Now, let's talk about the Le'Veon Bell conundrum. This is Le'Veon Bell's 8th season in the league. Well, if you subtract the one that he set out, it's actually his 7th. But at this point in time, we still don't know exactly how good or how bad Le'Veon Bell is. Consider this. He spent 5 seasons running through a spectacular O-line on a brilliant offense. Rock solid O-line on a phenomenal offense. This offense makes fantasy superstars out of any QB that Coach Tomlin decides to throw out there, and we've seen it time after time after time. There is always a great fantasy option at running back for the Steelers. Then he spends 2 seasons now, or on his 2nd season, at one of the worst offenses in the NFL and I will say it, the worst head coach in the NFL. So this brings us to the point where we really don't know exactly what Le'Veon Bell is. He could get better, he could get worse. We really don't know at this point. But I would make you this bet right now. He's not going to get any better for fantasy while he is on that offense under Adam Gase. That's it for this week. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe to the Beyond Football channel. I'm Smokey Rameriz, your fantasy football pro. This has been the Hurry Up Offense, and I'll see you next week. Deuces.